I think that this was very telegraphed, and I don't think that the market looks at a lot of things that Jeff Sessions was doing as very market moving. We wrote about this yesterday. We wrote about this today, that the most likely first pivot post this election was a resignation or a firing of Jeff Sessions. That speeds up the final outcome of the Mueller investigation. We're going to have a lot of volatility here over the next couple of months. And the thing that I would try to draw it back to is also China trade. Trump has a history of whenever there is a series of negative headlines to try to change the subject. The one subject that he can absolutely change the press narrative on is doubling down on China. And so those are the number one and number two risks that we see out here between now and the end of the year.
Libby Cantrill, head of public policy at Pimco, is also here with us. Libby, what's your reaction to this, and in particular, if it did lead to the process John Harwood just touched on of trying to unwind the Russia investigation?
Yeah, so I agree with Ed that this has been well telegraphed and well expected. We were on a conference call with our clients and said this was absolutely a possibility. I do think the timing's a little bit curious, though, because look, Democrats in the House especially want to see if they can deliver something legislatively, and they want to work with the president, especially on infrastructure. If we are launching right into investigations, which this could very well lead to when the new Congress comes into session next January, then any sort of attempt or effort for bipartisan, for infrastructure, for market-moving legislation could be thwarted.
So if all we're going to talk about is Mueller and investigations, now that Republicans are going to be leading committees and issuing subpoenas, Libby, what makes the market care? When does it become a market event?
Well, I think that's a good question. I think there was, I think there was some optimism that maybe we could see some sort of fiscal stimulus that could continue this expansion in terms of the United States. I'm actually surprised that the market's not responding more to that right now, because I think this, unfortunately, and you never know with this president, so you never say never. But again, I think this unfortunately slows or thwarts that progress.
Michelle Caruso Cabrera, the opening line we should also point out of Mr. Sessions' letter was, "At your request, I'm submitting my resignation." So not so much a resignation per se. On top of that, we understand this letter was delivered to the president this morning, so he could have addressed it in that 90-minute press conference, but chose not to. What do you make of that?
Yeah, no, mystery to me as to why he waited, but clearly, at your request, I'm submitting my resignation, makes it clear that the president wanted him out. A lot of you have been talking about what the implications are for the Mueller investigation. I'm also curious, what does this mean for immigration and immigration policy? Because Jeff Sessions, the reason he was part of the Trump administration originally is because the two saw eye to eye on immigration issues, a staunch hawk when it came to immigration. And is it going to change at this point because Jeff Sessions is gone? Probably not, but certainly one of the most ardent supporters of where the president was going. It was this man here, besides some of the aides that we talk frequently about. And also, let's see what goes on with affirmative action at universities, because that was the other issue that, again, we focus so much on Mueller, but there were other issues that were important to conservatives that Jeff Sessions was involved with.
Ed, why do you think the market is rallying so strongly right now? Do you think it's just a relief after the uncertainty going into the midterm elections, or is there some specific policy that investors are rallying off of?
I do think it is the relief, but I think it is specifically tied to the Senate. The Senate, where Republicans have expanded their majority, you're going to have a continuation of the deregulatory agenda, and the confirmations in the Senate are simple majority votes. And so there was a lot of angst about certain confirmation processes over the first 2 years of the Trump presidency. A lot of that angst is going to be gone. And when you look ahead even to the 2020 election, you do the Senate math and you say it is almost impossible for a full Democratic sweep in 2020. So the stickiness of Trump policies today are much more cemented than they were yesterday. That was something that the market was truly fearing with the rise of the progressive left, especially in purple states.